Attack aircraft are threatened by new advances in anti-aircraft missiles. To avoid these defenses, new missiles are being developed which can be pre-programmed to avoid enemy missile sites. A good example of this type is the new Matra Apache. The attack aircraft can fire the missile from outside the range of enemy anti-aircraft defenses. The missile flies itself to the target area. The Apache can attack different types of targets depending on its weapon load. Enemy airfields are a particularly important target and can be attacked using runway cratering munitions. Tank formations can be attacked using special submunitions. Missile-armed attack aircraft and combat helicopters pose an especially serious threat to ground forces. Not surprisingly, armies have turned to missiles to defend themselves against the air threat. Air defense missiles come in many sizes, from short-range systems that can be carried by an infantryman, like the Javelin, through highly complex systems that can hit enemy aircraft 40 miles away, like the Hawk. The first man-portable air defense missile was the U.S. Army's Red Eye, developed in the late 1950s. It has been replaced by the new Stinger missile. The Stinger uses a sensitive infrared seeker that picks up the heat given off by modern attack aircraft. It has a maximum range over 3 kilometers. The effectiveness of the Stinger was clearly demonstrated during the war in Afghanistan. The noted defense analyst David Isby traveled with the Mujahideen resistance during the war and explains the Stinger's importance.
Starting in 1986, these were supplied to the Afghan resistance, and they have been used, it appears, most effectively. According to U.S. government sources, no less than 68% of those fired have resulted in shot down Soviet airplanes or helicopters. In the June 1987 Soviet offensive in Paktia province, which is one of the areas where there's been the most intense fighting in Afghanistan, the Soviets have had to reduce the use of helicopter gunships, which up until now have been their primary offensive weapon in Afghanistan.
The Stinger can also provide fast, mobile air protection night as well as day. The United States Army uses a pedestal-mounted Stinger called the Avenger. The French Army's new Mistral missile is similar and also uses infrared guidance.
The Mistral is a short-range infrared missile, about 7 kilometers in range. In our view, it is the most advanced system in the world today. It has been in service since the end of 1988. It is used by 6 countries, and we estimate 10 users by 1990.
Another missile used in Afghanistan was the British Army's Javelin. The Javelin uses a different guidance system from the Stinger or the Mistral. The missile crewman places a small cursor over the target using a finger control, and the missile is automatically steered against the target. British Army is currently developing an even more sophisticated successor to the Javelin called the Star Streak. A third approach in man-portable missile guidance is found in the Swedish RBS-70 missile. The RBS-70 operator directs an invisible laser beam against the enemy aircraft, and the missile rides along the beam into the target. To protect maneuver forces against aircraft, air defense missiles are mounted on tracked vehicles. The Chaparral is a medium-range missile system used by the U.S. Army. The missile itself is derived from the famous Sidewinder dogfighting missile. It uses infrared homing like the smaller Stinger. The U.S. Army is now developing a successor, the ADATS, as part of its Forward Area Air Defense Program. The ADATS uses new laser guidance technology. Modern attack helicopters are now employing infrared flares to confuse heat-seeking missiles. As is apparent here, they do not confuse a laser-guided missile. European armies have favored radar-guided missiles. The Crotale is used for air-base protection, and it has been widely exported. The German and French armies use the radar-guided Roland missile system. A senior Roland program engineer describes the current effort.
Roland System se trouve actuellement en fabrication de grande série.
The Roland is now in service with 10 countries, 3 of them in NATO. There are 540 launch systems and about 25,000 missiles in service today. It is an air defense system to protect against low and very low altitude aircraft. Originally, it was designed to escort mechanized formations, and its use has been extended to defend fixed sites, such as command posts and airfields. It is being modernized both for the French and German armies.
Air defense missiles for high-altitude protection are the most sophisticated variety of anti-aircraft missiles. The most widely used missile of this type is the Hawk, first developed for the United States Army in the 1950s. It has been continually upgraded, and the most advanced version is called the Hawk Phase 3. The Hawk system includes long-range surveillance radars to locate and identify enemy aircraft, and illumination radars, which are used to guide the missile to its target. Although the Hawk is designed primarily to intercept aircraft, as early as 1960 it demonstrated its capacity to engage even tactical ballistic missiles. The Patriot system is the successor to the Hawk. Patriot is the most effective high-altitude tactical air defense missile system in the world today. As missiles become more sophisticated, electronics form a greater and greater portion of the whole system. Patriot is centered around a phased array radar. Unlike conventional radars, which rotate while searching, the phased array radar steers its beams electronically. The Patriot's phased array radar can track up to 100 targets and control up to 5 missiles simultaneously, a considerable improvement over the older radar guidance systems. The radar sends out a special electronic signal that illuminates the targeted aircraft. Then it tells the missile to open up its receiver and pick up the reflected energy. When the missile receives the reflected signals, it reports back to the main radar, telling it what energy it sees.